Vale, estamos en directo para reaccionar a la final de la FNCS, ¿vale? Y bueno, porque la... Luego no sé si ha pasado ya algo en español. Ahora lo veré. Pero bueno. Luego no sé si quedan 4 minutos para que empiece la FNCS. Y bueno, a ver, yo qué sé. A ver qué sucede. No sé si ha pasado algún español. Espero bueno, espero que sí. Porque si no me rayaré un poquito, la verdad. Así que bueno, vamos a esperar estos 3 minutitos que quedan. Y a ver. Es la gran pantalla, por si no lo sabéis. Me compré esta skin de viene. Que bueno, está bastante bien, ¿no? Vámonos ya para la gran pantalla. No.
Cuando se pueda la guarda. Y el guarda ahí.
Vale, supuestamente aquí. Así que vamos a esperar. Yo que sé, quedan 2 minutos. Si no es aquí en el escenario. El escenario principal no creo que sea. Va a ser aquí, ve que ya se está viniendo la people. Vale. Se ha quitado la música. Será por algo. 2 minutos, ¿Por qué no se escucha nada? ¿Qué? No sé, se va a buguear. 2 minutos y la gente se está viniendo por allá. Nos pondremos aquí. Y a ver. Sí, ya la gente se está viniendo. Tío, pero hay gente en el escenario principal. Parece que 1 minuto, ¿no? No sé dónde es. Es aquí, ¿no? Si no me equivoco. No creo que sea en el escenario. Es que hay gente. Tiene que ser aquí, sí, tiene que ser aquí. Pues nada, vamos a disfrutar de la final de la FNCS. Y a ver quién la gana. Vamos a intentar castear un poquito. Y a ver. La gente se está viniendo para acá. A ver qué pasa si lo vemos aquí un momentito, encima de esta roca. Yo creo que aquí se ve mejor, la verdad. En punto. No sé todavía ni dónde es. Es aquí. Sí, tiene que ser aquí. Vale, pues a esperar. ¿Qué sucede? No, porque ahí no es, como veis, ahí está todo el escenario ese. Vale, pues... y uno ya, Es aquí, tío. ¿Qué coño pasa? Sí, sí, la gente se está viniendo por acá, pero no empieza. Vale, vamos a hacerlo. ¿Puedo ver quién está en Twitch? Claro, le estará viendo. Ahí estamos. Vale, nice. Vale, es que ya está. Es que ya había empezado. Ah, no, vale, nada. Starting son 8 minutos. Vale, también ha empezado. Esto es como los resúmenes, vale. Nice. Vale, decirme una cosita. ¿Se ve bien aquí? Se ve bien. Aquí vemos agua. Nah, me voy a poner abajo mejor. Vemos agua. Bueno, ese doble headshot. ¿Cómo se clasificó? Frank N. También se habrá clasificado. Este hombre con 6 floppers que llevaba en esa partida. Bueno, a ver cuándo empieza. Que es dentro de nada 5 minutos. Se carga uno este hombre, la verdad que de ir mal a ir bien. A ver, puede rascar tormenta lo que quiera, ¿eh? Se carga otro. Ahí está, 6 minutitos. Con el tambor y táctica. Es que todavía tiene todo el espacio libre, ¿sabes? Ahora tiene balas de tambor apenas, tiene 20. No tiene más. ...30 de match, intenta rascar un poco de tormenta, se carga uno, tiene otro, pero tiene un flopper. Ahí está. Se carga otro. Vaya partida de este hombre. Vaya partidita, loco. Y todavía tiene match, porque tiene 70 más. Y es que en ese punto 7 personas. Qué locurote, Vaya locurete de elite que se está sacando. O que se ha sacado, más bien. Le meten un bazooka. Se lo cargan, coge match. Ha cogido match, algo de match. Le da algo. Así que yo con 64 de vida aguantando el lead. Le favorece el último punto. A ver. Parece que está bastante largo, ¿no? Ahí coge unos minis. El punto le favorece. Y ojito. ¡Ah! Aquí lo vemos en otra partida. Como vemos que también tiene flopper. O sea, tiene muchos match, pero se ha gastado las... Lo ha hecho para rotar y está muy jodido. Se puede poner a 150 otra vez. Ahí está, se pone el rubber. Se mete ese para rotar. Le mete 70, 60, lo mata. ¡Ay, que le aparece uno por la espalda! ¡Bueno! ¡Qué locurete de este tío!, ¿no? ¡Qué locurote de hombre, loco! Buah, esta si no la gana entre el top 10. Tiene muchísimos más, tiene para aguantar tormenta, tiene curas, tiene una pedazo de arma. Increíble, ¿eh? A ver. Yo no me he visto las partidas, la verdad, señor, la verdad. Le quedan 17, lleva 3 kills, la verdad es que... Los 10 puntos, sumo que estos 10 puntos habrán sido de la primera partida. 10 puntos en la primera partida, la verdad que para unas semifinales o algo no está bien. Está lo siguiente. Se carga otro. Tío, la gente es gilipollas. Se carga otro. No se puede ver, Aguanta, tiene la de kit. Tiene la de kit y aguanta, como se ve. Le disparan, pero obviamente se va a ir con la de kit, ¿no? Se llega a tomar el pescado. Se mete en zona. Se debería de meter un... ¿Lo tira? Lo ha tirado. Tiene high, 5, tiene muchos más. Tiene muchísimos más y le quedan 5 con vida. Queda 1 minuto y 50 para que empiece la FNCS. Tiene el high este hombre. Este hombre tiene el high. Ahora nos vamos con Aqua. Ahora nos vamos con Aqua con 55 puntos que lleva. O llevaba. A 2 kills, tiene 250 de match en total. Y a ver. Se mete en el cubo de 1 con la P90. Tiene aim de mando. Pero bueno. Se lleva otra. 1 minutito. Aquí vemos cómo rota Aqua. Rota increíblemente perfecto. Tiene 140 de match. Le mete con la P90. Uno no tiene un fusil, recordemos. Solo tiene escopeta, pero no hace falta literalmente un fusil para regular. Tienen 3 construcciones. Y a ver lo que hace. Se nos ha quedado aquí pillado. Le dan... Se toma un mini. No tiene match. No tiene match. Sí tiene cura y tiene bastante luz. Bueno, vamos a silenciar. Vamos a silenciar a todos porque no es plan. Bueno, aquí 30 segundos. Último late. Aqua. Vemos a Aqua. 210 de materiales. 4 kills. Le quedan 20 con vida. A ver lo que hace. Intenta disparar para llevar 6, rascar alguna kill. A ver lo que puede conseguir hacer. Se mete uno en el cubo. Lo mata. Se recupera algo de vida y consigue muchos materiales. Y lo matan. Y lo matan. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Empiezan las finales de la FNCS. Yo a partir de ahora me callo y a escuchar. A ver, no me voy a enterar de una mierda porque no sé nada de inglés, pero bueno. Yo me callo.
I mean, life is so real right now. I'm trying to I'm excited and every other amazing, awesome word because we've been watching a lot of these guys playing the FNCS solos. So many.
And finals for FNCS always means that we get some very, very exciting competitive Fortnite action, and we're going to bring the energy, we're going to bring the fire, and I know these players are too.
And of course, we are going to get into the show first. Very quickly, we're not going to get too many things rolled in. Take a break and then later on we'll be back after any awesome play. That being said, let's take a look at the format itself. Yesterday we saw the Elite break it down.
Vale, aquí vemos las partidas, ¿vale? 100 jugadores, top 25, 6 partidas, una final, la Grand Finals, Europa y NA. Vale, aquí vemos. Porque de eliminación un punto, del top 51 al 75 un punto, por el 41 50, 3 puntos por el 31 40, 4 puntos por el 26 30, 5 puntos por el 21 25, 6 puntazos para el 16 20, 7 puntazos para el 11 15, 8 puntazos para el top 10, 8 puntazos para el top 9, 8 puntazos para el top 8, 8 puntazos para el top 7 y top 6. Si queda en el top 4 y top 5, 9 puntazos. Si queda tercero, 10 puntos. Si queda segundo, 11 puntos. Y la victoria magistral, 14 puntos. Y aquí vemos los premios. Del top 50 al 100, 1500. Del top 50 26, 2000. 25, 16, 2500. 11, 15, 3000. Top 10, 7000. Top 9, 8000. Top 8, 10000. Top 7, 15.000, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. En Europa son los que más premios se reparten. Se reparten entre $800.000. Mucho dinero, ¿eh? Bueno, mirad esto. Mirad esto. Ojo con este pack porque el Joker, ¿eh? Cuidado con el Joker. Aquí vemos el pack que yo me he comprado, el pico del bate de béisbol. Voy a hacer una cosa, ¿vale? Cuando empiece la final, yo la voy a ver, pero me voy a mutear, ¿vale? Para que ustedes escuchen todo bien. Y vamos a darle. Me muteo, ¿vale? Venga.
Of the grand finals action, and if you watched last night, it was certainly nice, and we got to award our first axe of champions.
Yep, the axe was given out all the way towards the winner, and this man's going to be having that pickaxe to use towards the entire next season. It's going to be awesome to see. The winner of OCE overall was, of course, Jinx, RNG, Jinxie Fishy, and total points of 75, the Oceanic champion. What a run that he had above the rest.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And this man was contested, too. For yours unfamiliar with what that means off spawn when he dropped, there was somebody fighting him, which means that it's very difficult to do what he did. But 75 points. And something else to note about Jinx, this is a man of stature, somebody who has won the previous FNCS. So he was already holding on to that axe of champion. He gets to maintain going into this season.
Winners stay winning because as well, from second place all the way down to 10th, very familiar names. Refalse, Asfit, Rax, Worthy all the way up to second, Zore, Leia, Moose, Link at 7th, and then Fresh at 6th, who was playing so phenomenally over during the day. Had some help as well from chat, as well as Arab coaching him throughout the entire process. Past that, too, on the second place of Oceania, 11th down to 20th place. It is the same names we keep seeing, but look how close it was overall. Look at the prize money these guys got broken down. 40 points down to 36. Mountain holding 11th. RBK, I don't know, which is Volks holding down all the way to the 20th slot.
such a close competition, and this is going to be a nice identifier here as we get ready for EU. I mean, watch these point thresholds. Look at how close that is. We will more than likely see this in EU unless someone decides to break away. With that being said, though, Asia also has a champion. Fram #1, holding down that #1 spot, 47 points, no victory rounds, but 11 elimination and an average placement of 25th. That in itself is a statement to be made, and now he will hold the Axe of Champions high.
But it was so close, Zeke. Look at the eliminations, 11 for him over 6 games. That is slightly under 2 elims. And you know what? It counts. Everything matters. Tiebreakers certainly do in this case. 3 people tied for points at first place. That is ridiculous. Unheard of. Haruhiko coming in second, and Peter Pan. Unfortunately, these guys fell with the tiebreaker of eliminations. Fram will win the Asia region.
Still, another tiebreaker back-to-back, 44 points, 4 ways through, from 3rd all the way down to 7th place. That is insane to see. Still, that story continues on the 2nd page. Asia was so close, so competitive. And as you mentioned, Bala, every elimination did indeed matter. Once again, Rizart down to Riru from 11th to 13th place. They were tied. You go all the way down to 18th to 20th. Wildhawk, Bob, these guys were tied too, and it was their individual performance every game that stood out. So remember, every single game we watched today, every single play matters the most.
That's right, man. And this is something we're going to talk about for the whole time, right? Is every interaction matters. Every time 2 people square up, one of them will be eliminated, while the other is allowed to continue moving and continue earning those points, while the other that lost has to wait. They have to reset and come back into the game with a fresh mindset and hope to earn more points.
And these guys have been doing it all weekend long since Friday. They've been playing in these set lobbies, these very difficult games, and for some of them, they're done. They've already played it through, but for others, regions that we're looking forward to, EU up next, and these guys have such a competitive field. Look at the first list of qualified players, and that is just 1/5.
And they've gone through so many different hurdles. We had 4 heats in total, top 25s qualifying from each and every one, down to the final 100 players. These guys are at the top of their game, and they're going to be playing against other people who are used to winning. On this page alone, I'm looking at Scouts, Keziks, Seventor, Mongrel, big, insane, legendary names looking to get another title under their belt.
Reason was on that page too, the player who won Heat 4 against people like Letwick. Flois came out of Heat 1 with a dominant performance. We're going to be looking at him to see if he can maintain a good start out of the early game. Tayson, who had the first start in Heat 2 with the back-to-back victory royales, and we've talked about the format, how much that matters. His lead was almost insurmountable after only 2 games.
And whether you're watching in-game in Party Royale or anywhere online, just pick a name over here, follow it through, find a new favorite player, and follow your favorite old ones too, like Lecce, like Fasroki, XWeez2, who's an insane winner, winning back-to-back games through all stages of the competition. These guys are about to play some of the hardest games of their lives and are going to give us some of the best Fortnite we have ever watched.
And yesterday was literally like a little taste of that, right? And we've seen these pockets of people already setting their eyes on grand finals. Today will bring some of the best Fortnite we've ever seen. I mean, there's no way of knowing. Will someone break away and hold off strong? Will people go head-to-head and kind of pull each other back? And at the very end, someone will cross the finish line. No way of knowing, guys. This will all unfold before our very eyes.
Yeah, I mean, Zeke usually asks me the question, who do you think is going to win? I'm going to answer before you get to ask any one of these 100 players because they all deserve it, 100%, all the way up to this point. I'm serious. It's anyone's game. Every single person on all those pages for Europe are so good.
And I want to add one thing to that, too, because it might be anybody's game, but also think about the fact that one player after all of this, out of 100, is going to be walking away the winner, the champion. That is just mind-blowing to me.
Yesterday, we got to see the top 25 move on, and we thought about which 75 would fall. Now it's the 99 that will not make the cut. With that being said, though, let's take a look at a replay that has led us to this point.
Yeah. If you haven't joined us on the broadcast just yet, There was 4 heats to play through, and each of those had 100 players. Top 25 moved on from every single one of them. We're watching the winner of heat number 1, and we're highlighting him because he won in a surprising fashion, coming out from behind and dueling a lot of other top players, and he did it with style, winning a game with something like 5 eliminations and then taking the lead from there and being consistent all the way through. That's why Advise is certainly somebody to pay attention to.
Yeah, the name to remember is Wave Advise, especially anyone having Wave in front of their names. But just look at the way he broke down every game. It wasn't something under control for him at all times. It was always back against the wall, but always found a way through to win every single time.
And he was dueling against players like Clement, who are going to be here today. But moving on into Heat 2, if you missed that one, this was electric. This was fantastic. We already talked about Tayson's back-to-back, but he did it again with style, too. That's why we have to keep an eye on him going into this. And there's some interesting things about him. We saw a sneak peek about that landing spot, and that's where our previous FNCS Invitational Solos champion came from. His duo partner, Janice.
And Janice is playing today too, so these guys will have to face off against each other at the same drop spot in the same end games, and it's unpredictable as to what will actually end up breaking down.
There's another player too in that heat. It was Kinzel. They ended up dueling. Also somebody who came out of Steamy Stack, so we'll have to keep that in mind. But moving into Heat 3, this is something that caught a lot of people by surprise. Why? Because Xweez, while he has been pretty consistent overall, his placements in FNCS and other tournaments like that, nobody expected what he did throughout the qualifiers. Nobody expected a second place on day 3, into a first place on day 4, into a first place in the heat yesterday.
The most surprising performance by far, absolutely, and the most impressive in style. XP's always puts himself into positions where he can show his flair, show his aim, and give us a good insight to what shots he likes to take. All these shots always culminate to a win. Just look how fast he is past edits, landing the bullets that he needs to land to be able to get eliminations and then win games close range, 4 people back to back, and he did this in multiple games.
And that's not all. While Xweez might have dominated his heats, there's still one more. To find the last 25 players, we had to go through one of the most difficult ones overall. There was players like Mongrel in the next heat. There was players like Reason, and those two have been going back-to-back against each other for quite some time, starting from the day 1 3 weeks ago. But Reason showed up again, and even though they dueled and took first and second in this heat, Reason seemed to come out far and ahead, the champion of that heat. And for one reason, I think, no pun intended, the Holly Hedges uncontested drop spot.
Yeah, with no one fighting you down early game, you have a huge advantage on playing the rest of your game out, going for positions, going for wins. That being said, though, Reason and Mongrel are going to be able to battle it out once again here today in these grand finals, and it's the final round for these guys to wrap up their story.
And the important thing to note from Reason, he did win back-to-back in heat number 4 yesterday against players like Letwick, who had even Kit Shockwave Launcher to try to put him down. He does not care and will go for the biggest streak of 2 back-to-back games in terms of eliminations and wins. So that total amount of points, ridiculous from Reason. We'll have to see if he's in form today.
That's the biggest question across the board, right? Who is in form? A lot of these players, they already know the field. They've already scouted each other out, and just like we've done our research, they have too. Now the question is, who will hold strong and who will walk away the champion? With that being said, guys, it is time to get into the first game of the day here in EU. So let's get ready to toss it over to our casters. We've got Clay Staling and Sundown to take us through all the action. Gentlemen, over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Jonesies, Bonesies, he's, she's, theys, and thems, welcome to the first game of the FNCS Grand Finals in EU, and I hope you got your popcorn ready, whether it's literally or the emote in Party Royale, because this game is about to be a blast.
I am ready for seeing all the action unfold. I hope everybody's got their favorite emote out, whether it be take a seat, whether they're with their glow sticks out raving. I'm ready. I know you're ready, Sundown. It's going to be amazing.
enough from us. Let's take us into game number 1. The analyst desk set it up so well. Shout outs to Zeke, Bala, and Showager. But now we're into match number 1. This is it. 6 games to decide who will walk away with that Axe of Champions. Who will be the top player in arguably the most competitive region in Fortnite. It does have the most participants, and there's $800,000 up for grabs here. And here's the initial drop spot.
And it looks like everyone's sticking true to where they planned on dropping. We have 3 players in Steamy. We've got, I think, only 1 or 2 players there in Caddy Corner, the 4 in Lazy Lake that we've seen time and again from Europe. And, of course, we've got Rezon and Robert. It seems like he may be alone.
And one of the best comments I think I saw coming out is, wow, everyone is really scared of Rezon. And if you look at some of those early game drop spots, both in heats and I'm assuming now in the grand finals, everyone stays really far away from him. And you can see that in the bottom right-hand corner on the map. Not a single triangle remotely close to him representing another player. That's because he's done such a good job over the course of the entirety of this tournament to stake out the claim, and then also getting a nice little elite chest right there, granting him the legendary burst AR, and he's set to go now. He can begin his rotation and head to center zone. He has those 6 crash pads, which we've seen him execute on so well, and he's basically set to now just farm the materials he needs and transition into the mid game. However, we've seen him go aggressive time and time again with this similar loadout, as now we swing on over.
And you saw how careful he was being. He wasn't taking a chance looting that chest. He didn't want anything to go wrong in game number 1, because that sets the pace of your games going forward. Whether you get out to a head start or whether you have to climb your way back from an unfortunate off-spawn elimination. However, Hen, on the other side of it, does have players nearby. Loadout not as great as what we just saw on Rezon, but someone that also did very well in the qualifiers. Came out, and I believe, got a 2nd place there in one of the days. He's got that Cyber Rivals territory, and he's looking. He's peppered up. He's looking for an elimination. I think he's going to be able to catch this play off guard. Snipe's going to come through. He's going to wait, and he does. Ardent's going to go down. Elimination comes over for him.
Brilliantly done there by Hen to set up that ambush on the side. We've talked about it time and time again, how you need to be careful. But in the early game in particular, it's so hard to really know where your opponents are, keeping track of them. If somebody does get that first shot down and you're not able to react, it can be game ending. And going out there in 96, it's so hard. A 0-point game, and now you have to sit back and watch everyone else have fun while you're sitting there waiting for the next game. As now we hop on board, and Candy, who's going to be in the exact same situation as Milan, turns that one around. And someone who's really been playing a lot better as of late, Clay.
He has indeed, and I believe we have 2 Milans here in this grand final. So we got a Loft Milan and Normal Milan, but both of them have been playing very, very well and have consistently been making it into that top 25. It seems like almost every single qualifier. So it's really good to see consistency being rewarded, especially with the way the format is. The format rewards those high-placing, high-consistent games. So if you're able to get to top 15, top 25, top 10 every single game, you're going to start to make your way to the top of the leaderboard.
And that's what the goal is for the end. We talked about so much yesterday how it's, hey, top 25 is all that matters. Well, here, everyone wants to be number 1. You have to walk away with that top spot. It's a solos competition if you want the grand prize in the Axe of Champions and all the clout that comes with saying, hey, I am the best player in my region after the weeks of qualifiers and then coming down to this. And Mr. X, who had a beautiful run yesterday to even get him here. The miracle, back-to-back-to-back eliminations, but now under pressure from Rifle, going to get in directly on top of him, but sticking straight to the AR spray. He didn't have a shotgun. That's what we talk about, those early game fights. He just had the assault rifle and the SMG, opting to stick with the AR, and I think that might have been the wrong call, as the SMG could have offered him slightly more damage in that situation, but Rifle comes through and punishes him.
And it was such a close call. That Siphon was just the difference maker once that elimination came through. You see, now on another engagement, it's between Wolfie.
Gente más pesada que el hombre que tenía delante, tío.
The pedal is down. Maestro wants to just continue to push down. Shots go through. He's going to break through the wall. And Wolfie's just going to go down.
That was a huge pickup there from Maestro Wolfies, who was the second place finisher in the duos of the World Cup. We've seen him play so aggressively, the young player from the UK, but when he's put on the back foot, it can be a little bit challenging there. Maestro did come through, got dropped down to 48 HP, but don't forget, in arena and tournament settings, there is that siphoned enabled. That means when you eliminate an opponent, you will get either 50 HP or 50 shield back, depending on which one you end up needing. It prioritizes health first, and then they will also drop all of their materials, all of their loot, and an additional 150 materials, so an extra 15 builds that you can go over and sweep up. That ends up being really key, particularly in the mid and the late game now, as we're on board here with a Ventex who takes 2 really big shots and is put on the back foot.
He is, but luckily enough for him, Fresh does not have any shield pop. Now, it's not going to be as good as he is going to be finding time to get those minis to that free shield popping. Intel with their needs to find an aggressive push into the box and needs to catch him off guard. And with Ventex is not able to get this medkit off, which does not look well for them. But it seems like the medkit really pops, so he does get back to fighting HP. 150 HP is enough for this game.
Nice, I mean.
Now, on the back foot, that's exactly what he needed to do. He needed to turn that defense and just wait and get that off